Alright, hey guys, my name is Jana Case. I am currently in the QEd 6920 course. I'm in grad school right now, and I'm also working along to get my ESL endorsement. My undergrad is K through 5 elementary ed, and I currently work at a school in Smith County called Defeated Elementary. I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk low. I have gotten some nasty bug along the way. But anyway, I'm Jana Case. Nice to meet all of you via computer. And I will now get started with my topic, which is sociolinguistics. Wow, let me spit that out. Sociolinguistics. So to start, my 5 open-ended questions are: number 1, what is sociolinguistics? Number 2, why is it important for ELs and teachers to know and learn about sociolinguistics? Number 3, list the 7 characteristics of language and describe why you think these are connected to sociolinguistics. Number 4, what are 2 helpful activities to use to teach ELs about sociolinguistics? And number 5, how do you personally think sociolinguistics affects your classroom? So, all of these except for number 5 will be found in this video or the PowerPoint that I will post. However, number 5 is all about your personal take on sociolinguistics after you hear about it from me. Personally, this is one of the first times I've actually studied sociolinguistics for myself, because throughout school it wasn't required. I've heard of it, but in depth, this is definitely the first time that I have learned about sociolinguistics. Alright, so to get started, what is sociolinguistics? Sociolinguistics is the study of any and all aspects of society, including cultural norms, expectations, and context on the way language is used and the effects of language use on society. So from everything I've gathered, there are kind of 2 different types of sociolinguistics. The sociolinguistics that deals more with culture, and then the sociolinguistic side that deals with language. So obviously for this course, I'll be talking about the sociolinguistics that deals with language. So I have 2 quotes on the third slide on my PowerPoint, just 2 different variations of the definition of sociolinguistics. Sociolinguistics is the study of language in relation to society, and then the other reads, sociolinguistics is that part of linguistics which is concerned with language as a social and cultural phenomenon. It investigates the field of language in society and has close connections with the social sciences, especially social psychology, anthropology, human geography, and sociology. So, like I said, it all deals with culture, really. But for this side of sociolinguistics, I will be discussing how it affects language and the effects that culture even has on language. So on number 2, I asked, why is it important for students and teachers to learn and know about sociolinguistics? For the teacher, it's important because you need to understand a student's background and their culture, what they act like at home, how they speak, how they interact, dress, and make decisions in society. All of these rely on understanding sociolinguistics. Because sociolinguistics is defined as the study of all aspects of society, A teacher must understand where the student falls into society and where the student's cultural background comes from and the cultural norms of this student, and maybe even the accents of where the student comes from or the way in which they speak. For students, it's important for them to understand culture norms in society, along with expectations and context. Students must first understand the basics of sociolinguistics. When EL students understand that sociolinguistics is the study of any and all aspects of society, they can then begin understanding society around them. Sociolinguistics is a big word, and with my sore throat, it is not coming out right, so I'm sorry for that. But that should help you for number 2. I want you to think about the way that you think sociolinguistics is important for students and teachers as well. I don't want you to just verbatimly write on the post what I said, because it would be more meaningful for you if you were to think about why a teacher and a student needs to understand sociolinguistics. But of course, you can use my examples as well. Also, I'm sorry if you hear the little tic-tacs on the floor. That would be my dog, Red. He's a little mini dachshund, and he's really cute. But anyways. Okay, so I included the 7 characteristics of language, and these are as follows. Language can change and adapt as required. You can speak to and be understood by other native speakers of that language. Language relays sounds or gestures to meanings. Language can negate, ask questions, and refer to the past or future. Language is required without internal instruction. Language is used creatively rather than in response to internal or external stimuli. And language has symbols that have discrete meaning. So all of these help us to think why these characteristics are important in understanding sociolinguistics. I think they all play an important role in sociolinguistics, but mainly I would say that number 5 on here, which is language is required without internal instruction, and number 7, language has symbols that have discrete meaning. I think those would play the biggest role in sociolinguistics, but you may have your own opinion, and that's fine. And if you do, please discuss that on the on our discussion board. Okay, so I was watching a YouTube video to help me understand sociolinguistics a little bit better before I started this video, and a guy was giving an example of sociolinguistics. He was saying he was given his own webinar about sociolinguistics, and as he was doing it, he was describing that while he was giving this webinar and lecture, he would talk a certain way, and his voice would sound a certain way as he was giving this lecture. But if he were to have a student come up to him face to face, just those two people, if the student had a question or if the teacher wanted to talk to him, however it was going to be, he would not talk in the same manner or the same way that he would while he was giving a lecture. His lecture voice would be much more formal, while his one-to-one conversation with the student would be informal. And the difference between informal and formal, I think most of you would know this, but informal would be more, how can I put this, more down to earth speaking. Like, oh, this is what I would do in this scenario. Whereas if he is talking in a formal manner, he's not using slang, he isn't messing up pronunciation, things like that. Formal speaking is a lot different than informal, and that is an example of sociolinguistics, kind of tailoring how you're speaking according to your audience or the place that you're in, things like that. So for on slide 6, for an example of sociolinguistics, I put that people style shift, which is something that I also found under sociolinguistics, and according to their surroundings, they style shift. So, like the professor was saying, he's the professor, he's the one standing up in front of a large group. He wants to be formal, he's going to speak a certain way, versus when he's speaking to the student, which should be informal. Their pronunciation, word choice, and grammar change as a result. So, like I've already described, the way he's going to speak, the words that he's going to choose to lead his lecture, and the grammar that he uses is all going to change whenever he switches over to informal speaking with the student one-to-one. And I give you the example. I've kind of written a short example for that, what I just described below that on the same slide. I'm sorry, you might have heard Red just bark. Okay, so I have 2 classroom activities. The first activity, well actually both of them, I searched online, I searched on Pinterest, and I really couldn't find anything that really clicked with me that I thought, okay, this would be really good for understanding and teaching students about sociolinguistics. But I found a YouTube video of a teacher at the beginning. I don't know if she was the one who compiled the video, but the video is really neat. And at the beginning of the video, she starts out with a young girl in her class, about 15 I guess, and they talk informally, and the teacher actually comes up to the student and says, what's happening, like trying to be on the student's level in the way that that student would probably talk one-to-one. But then they switch roles and they talk formally. So the student and the teacher discuss how their day was according to I'm so sorry. But they just speak formally versus informally, and they kind of switch roles. So for the activity that I've chosen, I kind of made it up as I saw how they were interacting, and I named it, it's the first activity, informal and formal role playing. First, have students choose a partner to work with. As you know, I would have them choose a partner that they're not going to be too silly with, but someone that they could open up with and actually carry out the activity in a respectful but fun manner. Once they have found one, hand out the role play cards to each pair. So the role play cards will just say formal on one side, informal on the other. And what I would have them do at first is one of them would be the informal person speaking, and the other would be the formal person speaking. And I would have them talk informal one and formal the other in a formal manner versus informal manner to each other in the same conversation. And then they could swap roles and do the same thing, vice versa. And then I would also have them do just formal conversation and just informal conversation. Both of these are good ways to share sociolinguistics in the classroom with students and show them that the way that they speak and why they're speaking the way that they are is a good way of understanding sociolinguistics. So just to add to that, the informal role would talk using not necessarily slang, but or improper grammar, but hey, what's up, versus hey, how are you? The hey, how are you would be the formal, and the hey, what's up, how you doing, that would be more informal. Okay, for my second activity, it kind of deals more with accents. I also found a really neat video on YouTube. And I have included that in the slide. So what I would do first is pull up the YouTube video and watch it from 3 minutes and 4 seconds to 5 minutes and 6 seconds. In between that time frame, I think there are 4 to 5 individuals speaking in the video from different parts of the country. For example, the first person to speak is from New York. The second to speak is from Oklahoma, I believe. Someone from West Virginia. Places that vary in accents. So I would show this to the students first and see their reactions and let them have an open discussion about what their takeaway from this would be. And then I would have them, I don't know if you guys use popsicle sticks, but I'm all about popsicle sticks with their number on it. Draw a popsicle stick, whatever number they are, they have to answer the question. So in this case, I would draw a popsicle stick. Oh, number 17, that's you. You have to speak in let's say a southern accent. So, of course, they're not going to be totally used to it, and you may have to say, a southern accent would be more country sounding, while a northern accent would be much more proper, I guess you could say. But I wouldn't want to confuse them with this, but I think it would just be a fun, open-ended activity that they could do to support and understand why we have accents and why people do this. And I would also play along as well. I would let them choose an accent for me and try to do the best that I could with that accent. But after that game would be over, I would have them write why they believe, from their own personal thoughts, why they believe accents exist. They would write these in their interactive notebooks and discuss with a partner. I think this would be a really creative way to incorporate accents into the classroom, and also just really kind of be a more fun, not so content-based activity, but still allowing them to learn and write and speak out loud. But to sum up, sociolinguistics is the study of any and all aspects of society, including cultural norms, expectations, and content, on the way language is used and the effects of language use on society. So me just giving you guys this video is not how I would normally talk to my husband or my dog. Definitely not my dog. Talk to him in a little small voice you would probably think was annoying, but that is all part of what sociolinguistics is, why we change our language and the way that we speak according to where we are, where we come from, what our culture is like, etc. But the last slide says, now think for yourself, which is the last question that you will answer for the 5 open-ended questions. But how does sociolinguistics affect my classroom? So you guys will just answer that to the best of your ability. I know you guys are going to do awesome, and I can't wait to see your responses. So once again, nice to meet everybody, and that is my video.